Hello and welcome to Crypto News. Today is May 6, 2025, and the top cryptocurrency news is as follows. We're going to start today's episode with the president of Paraguay, whose account on X was hacked. There was a statement that Paraguay would make Bitcoin its reserve asset, and there was also a message that said send your Bitcoin so you don't get left out. So from that hack, we're going to move on to something more serious. We're going to go to Hong Kong, which will be using the Chainlink protocol for its own pilot project for its CBDC. This is essentially the second phase of Hong Kong's CBDC initiative. According to the plans, as you can see, it will support other currencies as well. In our example on the bottom left, we see that if someone sends an Australian dollar, it will go through the Chainlink system and go to a bank in Hong Kong in the local currency. In addition to other nice keywords, there is the tokenization fund that we see through the banks. Of course, there will also be the Chainlink CCIP for cross-border payments. So as you can see, the whole network is built. Moving on, we will also turn to Tether, specifically the CEO of Tether. He shared with us photos via X, which essentially show that in a store in Bolivia, prices are listed in Tether instead of dollars or the country's currency. As you can see, this is a nice package with the price in USDT, a pair of sunglasses with USDT again, and this item here, I don't know what it is also priced in USDT. So we see stablecoins gaining ground, obviously in countries that don't have such a strong economy or banking networks, and instead rely on blockchain, which specializes in payments, or more specifically, the transfer of value. Moving on from Bolivia, we go to America and the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, who basically said that he is considering making an exemption rule for DeFi platforms. What the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, said is basically a criticism of the previous leadership of the SEC for doing absolutely nothing, and he is right. He says that he is considering rules that would exclude DeFi, for starters, from existing legislation so that they have room to breathe and grow. Moving on from the statement of the chairman of the SEC, we go to our ETFs, which do not have impressive numbers, except for one. This is BlackRock's Bitcoin Spot ETF, which has been embraced by institutions. Specifically, BlackRock's Bitcoin Spot ETF reached $70 billion in 341 days, 5 times faster than the previous record for raising that amount. To put that in perspective, here are the 25 largest ETFs on the market. Let's say BlackRock's Bitcoin Spot ETF is ranked 23rd out of the 25 largest, and it did so in just 1.4 years on the market. The second youngest ETF on this list also comes from BlackRock at 17th and has been around for 12.6 years. To give you an idea of how much institutions have embraced the Bitcoin Spot ETF. Now, still on the subject of ETFs, let's move on to ProShares, where ProShares Trust and Bitwise have filed with the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, for an ETF for Circle stock. This ETF will be called ProShares Ultra CRCL, which is a product with 2x equity exposure to Circle stock, which, as we mentioned, continues to rise. Moving on, we go to Strategy, which bought $110 million in Bitcoin. Okay, the classics. And now we move on to Ripple. First, Ripple is strongly supporting Japan. Specifically, Ripple wants projects in Japan to come on its chain. They can help financially, and they've already made a donation of up to $200,000 to make that happen. Ripple is focusing on 3 key areas in these projects: DeFi, tokenization, obviously, and digital payments. In addition to Ripple, Cadena has also started investing money. Specifically, Cadena made its first donation from a new $50 million fund for its ecosystem. It has already invested $400,000 in Curveblock, a UK-based startup that builds real estate and sells it through tokenization. This, as we've said before, is a very hot story in the cryptocurrency market. This company is the first real estate company to be accepted into the UK's digital securities sandbox, so Cadena is expanding slowly into the tokenization space. Meanwhile, another company looking to invest heavily in the cryptocurrency market is a NASDAQ-listed company called Oblong. This particular company provides information solutions and has revealed plans to raise $7.5 million through a private placement to support BitTensor's new AI and digital asset initiative. Essentially, the bulk of the proceeds will go towards buying the TAO coin. Aside from its share price increasing on this news, let's just say that TAO is up 11% on the 24-hour chart. Not bad at all. For the last part of our day, we'll be looking at an ICO that sold out in a matter of minutes. Plasma, which raised $500 million from its ICO. More specifically, Plasma is basically being described as a sidechain for Bitcoin, a sidechain that will use the network as a settlement layer while trying to fill the need for stablecoins. Specifically, it is being reported on Twitter that it will create a blockchain, a sidechain as we said, for stablecoin payments on Bitcoin. We have seen in previous episodes of Crypto News how many companies all over the world are suddenly thinking about creating their own stablecoins, so the creation of stablecoins is starting to become a very good narrative. Additional information about this ICO is that a trader spent $100,000 in gas fees on Ethereum to make sure that the $10 million in USDT would go through safely first, so that he would not miss the ICO opportunity. He was right to do so, as this ICO raised $500 million in just 5 minutes. So you had to be very quick if you wanted to get in. Moving on, we're going to go to our favorite cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin, which is really nice at $109,000. We'd like to see it jump our resistance and go up so we can say, okay, that's support. What's happened is that the Chinese and the Americans are probably starting to talk. Specifically, members of President Trump's team are preparing to meet with Chinese officials in London to talk about tariffs. And that's not all we have to look forward to. Tomorrow comes the US population report. Let's say the US population growth is 2.3%. They're expecting it to be 2.4%. Depending on the data that comes out, the market could move up or down. That's a significant number because in 8 days, we have Mr. Powell coming out to say what will happen to interest rates. At least we probably know he won't cut them, but a lot can change in 8 days. That wraps up the top news for crypto. Today is May 6, 2025. I'd like to remind you that the content you just watched is created for educational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice, but rather as investment opinion. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and feel free to comment. Take care everyone and have a good day.